Why do some people seem to feel at home almost anywhere, while others never quite do? When we moved to Australia, I expected it would take years before I would feel like home, as literally everything was new. But strangely, it didn't take that long at all. Yet other people may never feel at home in their new place, no matter how hard they try to make it work. Which made me wonder, what actually determines if we feel at home? If I ask you what home is, you may think of the house you grew up in or your childhood bedroom, familiar smells, objects, knowing where things are, daily rituals, home-cooked meals, and the people around us. If you Google what makes us feel at home, most explanations point to those things as well. Familiarity, routines, personal belongings, safety, and relationships. And those things do make a lot of sense. But if that were the full story, every expat would feel disoriented for years. And that simply isn't always the case. When people describe places that just feel right for them, they often talk about things like the pace of life, the amount of space, relationship with nature, the vibe in the city, and how people interact. These things create the background rhythm of daily life. And sometimes that rhythm simply fits us. This fit depends on us, on our character. Think about the difference between how different places can feel. And even if you've never been there, imagine what it's like to be in the middle of the center of New York versus being in some small town area deep inside the countryside of Spain or Italy. And one of these may just fit better for you, for your day-to-day way of living, even if you can enjoy both at times. So we can think of influences, environmental influences, like fast versus slow environments, or dense cities versus open landscapes, maybe socially intense versus quieter places. And I'm sure there's other contrasts of influence like that in our environment. But when our environment, that rhythm fits our internal self, what happens is that we don't feel like we have to adjust ourselves constantly to the environment. There's less friction between who we are and how the place asks us to be, how it asks us to live. And when that kind of fit appears, the internal signal of that fit can actually be quite clear. I remember walking into the house that we live in now. It's actually the house where I'm filming this from right now. And when we walked in the first time, and something in me just settled. We walked around and I instantly knew this is home. It's a feeling of calm, of being very present, very in the moment, very embodied. I was really there. The best way I can probably describe it is that my whole self sank into the moment. Now, it doesn't need to happen this way. And it's definitely not always tied to a specific house or building. It can be maybe a part of nature or a city where you feel it, or in a specific interaction. When the environmental resonance happens, you may notice that your body relaxes, your mind stops scanning, and you are not trying to adapt yourself anymore. You can just be you. Nothing in you is negotiating your existence. Now, learning all this, when I looked at this more closely, I realized something interesting. In another video that I will link in the description for you, I explored what creates a sense of belonging. And the ingredients were things like recognition, fit, and context. And when I put these two things next to each other, next to the experience of feeling at home that we talked about here, these two things are almost exactly the same. Feeling at home might actually be a form of belonging, just not only socially, but environmentally and tied to our identity. Now that's all interesting, but that still leaves us with the question why some people feel at home somewhere much faster than others. And I'll share with you what I believe is of influence. First is that environmental resonance. That is what we talked about so far. Some places simply fit our internal rhythm better. We feel like we can be ourselves more. Second is psychological flexibility. Some people adapt their identity to new contexts more easily. I actually have a new video coming out soon that goes deeper into that topic. Now, depending on when you're watching this, it may or may not already be out. Which reminds me, this is a perfect time to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and use that notification bell to not miss that video or any other video from me. The third factor that influences whether someone can feel at home is permission. Yeah, that may sound a bit weird, but the last crucial thing is giving yourself the permission to belong. Because as long as we are looking to find home in the exact form that we were used to, but now relocated in the new location, or when we're not fully allowing ourselves to settle in the new situation because we still have such an emotional tie to the old situation, or maybe the people from back home, living with one foot out the door, we will block ourselves from being able to experience any of those signals inside of us that would spark a feeling of being at home. Because we're then only searching for a copy of what we were used to, instead of being open to feeling that full sense of self in the new situation as well. For me, this clearly happened when I made a very conscious decision. I remember that moment very clearly, and I decided to no longer wait around and hope for things to feel better or more comfortable. I decided that from that moment on, I would be building my own future here. And even though I already felt the environmental resonance before, which already made me feel partially at home, that decision amplified me sinking in the moment and feeling that sense of home tremendously. So belonging also requires permission, and I gave myself permission right there to be okay with moving forward with my future. Home emerges when our sense of self, the environment, and our willingness, our permission to belong align. A place can already offer signals that we might be able to belong there too, and that it's an authentic fit for the environment because it aligns with who we naturally are. But we still have to allow for those signals to land, and that means giving yourself permission to step into that new life fully. If we haven't met yet, my name is Ava, and I work with expat coaching and transition advisory, supporting individuals, couples, and organizations in international life transitions. What we talked about here today, the sense of feeling at home and belonging, is one of the 6 ways transitions impact expats and their partners. Navigating expat life, especially as an expat partner, often comes with very specific challenges that most generic advice out there doesn't address. To navigate your life abroad with more clarity and joy and direction, and more feeling at home, you need to know about the 5 other aspects as well, everything from self-discrepancy to agency contraction, role misalignment, embodied tension, and time zone drift. That is why I created the Expat Partner Impact Consult, or EPIC for short, for you, and you can book it with me now through the link near this video. Inside this conversation, we look at how expat life is currently affecting you and what would help you the most right now. The only investment that I ask of you is your time and your honesty, so we can make this a meaningful conversation for you where we look at what is actually going on for you. And I am convinced that the EPIC alone will be of huge value for you, and you have absolutely nothing to lose. You can find the link to book your EPIC near this video, and I highly recommend for you to take this opportunity because you deserve to feel at home inside and with yourself, no matter where you are in the world or for how long.